Uh, Good morning, everybody. My name's Gary Parker. I'm the chair of Future Communities, who are bringing you this presentation today, funded by the National Lottery Community Fund as part of an ongoing wellbeing program to support women. And it is being recorded. It will be on our YouTube channel probably in about 2 weeks' time. And there are a range of other presentations on the YouTube channel already, including another one that Jenny has done, which are well worth checking out. This presentation will last about an hour or up to an hour with questions. So there will be time towards the end for questions on this if you've got any. You can put them in the chat as well, or ask in person once the presentation has finished. So without further ado, I will hand over to Jenny. Over to you, Jenny.
Oh, thanks, Gary. I'll just share the screen. Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Jenny Tomei. So I'm a nutritional therapist and personal trainer. I'm also a training counsellor as well. So today we're going to be talking about blood sugars support to help support your hormones. Basically, it's all about a holistic approach to your hormones. So it's all about a bit of nutritional advice to help you support your hormones. Any sort of medical questions related to hormones, I'm afraid I won't be able to answer those because I'm not a doctor, but I'm a nutritionist, so I can help from a nutrition perspective. So any questions around that, just let me know from the nutrition side. So we're going to look at why blood sugar matters, what blood sugar is, and the blood sugar roller coaster. Key hormones that are affected by your blood sugars, looking at symptoms of blood sugar imbalances, and looking at why it's really important to balance your blood sugar levels and how that's the key to our long-term health. 4 food groups do support your blood sugar balance. And then we're going to look at sleep, movement, stress, and hydration as well. And then we're going to look at alongside some recommended supplements as well. So I'm just going to move this screen up here so I can see. Okay, so why blood sugar balance matters. So hormones and blood sugar are deeply connected. Imbalance in our blood sugars. So if you're not getting your blood sugars right and you're not balancing them correctly throughout the day, this may trigger things like fatigue, mood swings, weight gain, and more. So technically, the key to long-term weight management is to balance your blood sugars out throughout the day. And everyone's really different when it comes to our blood sugar levels. So no one person is the same. So it's really important to think about, the feed that you're eating and how it makes you feel. Does it make you feel good? Do you feel energized? Do you feel tired after it? Also, are you eating regularly to help balance your blood sugars? And that's really important for people who go too long without eating or skip meals, or, that's not necessarily very beneficial to stabilize your blood sugar levels. It's all about eating consistently and keeping your glucose levels topped up throughout the day. So glucose is your main source of energy for the body. So what is blood sugar and how does it work? Obviously, it's glucose into the bloodstream, which comes from food. It's your primary energy source for the body. So even your brain uses up 20% of your daily energy intake from glucose. So it uses up about 300 to 400 calories a day. So your brain is like a big energy user of glucose. So yeah, as I said, it's really important to keep that topped up throughout the day, because when you do that, you're going to feel more energized. You're not going to have dips or feel sluggish in the afternoon. kind of that afternoon slump, we call that, don't we? So yeah, so the importance of keeping that up throughout the day is really important for your overall energy levels. Okay, let's look at blood sugar fluctuations. Okay, so fluctuations in blood glucose levels are often caused by things like high sugar intake, leading to spikes and crashes. Or, for example, if you're going too long without eating or skipping meals and then you suddenly overeat in the next meal, that can spike your glucose and make you feel quite tired. Okay, so consistent spikes in blood sugar levels can lead to things like insulin resistance, diabetes, and obviously long-term health issues. So again, managing that blood sugar level and trying not to avoid or skip meals. So eating your food slowly, eating enough fiber. So focusing on like balanced meals that include the protein, the fiber, and the healthy fats. So fibrous foods, you could look at things like brown rice or brown bulgur wheat or quinoa, sweet potato, those types of low GI feeds. So they provide slow release energy into the body basically and help keep you fuller for longer, stabilize blood sugar levels, stabilize your energy. Healthy fats, I'm talking about things like, olive oil, good quality olive oil, avocado. Okay, so types of healthy fats like that, chia seeds or nuts and seeds, they're all really beneficial for our body. Again, looking at things like portion control, so pay attention to portion sizes and trying to avoid sugary snacks to maintain your blood sugar level. So obviously it's okay to have the odd sugary snack, and it depends when you're having it. If you're having sugar around exercise, then that's fine because your body's about to use that sugar. Especially if you're training or you're going to the gym, so it's about the timing of food really and when you're having it, which matters the most. Also, for some people, when they do skip meals, their cortisol levels rise, and I'll talk about that later on in the presentation. So cortisol is the stress hormone, and that can trigger like a spike in your glucose as well, which may cause you to crave like sugary foods or more carbohydrates as well. So what are the key hormones affected by blood sugar? So obviously insulin, just to explain that, which is released by the pancreas. So that's really important to keep that stable by eating consistent meals throughout the day that contain a decent amount of fiber. Obviously cortisol, as I've just explained. So when you go too long without eating or you're really stressed, your cortisol levels can rise and that can cause a spike sometimes for people in their glucose, which may cause people to want to go eat. So in order to like regulate the cortisol, you need to try and keep your stress levels low, doing things, including activities in your life that make you feel good, that lower the stress levels, that help to ground yourself. People with neurodiverse traits who are ADHD, they tend to naturally have higher cortisol levels. So some are very sensitive to cortisol. So it's just knowing your body really and knowing what's best for it. If you're having a stressed out day, just maybe take things easy, because your body will thank you for it. Also estrogen and progesterone. Okay, so progesterone is a very important hormone. So research has shown that high stress levels can actually lower progesterone over time. And obviously you want to keep your progesterone levels high because that helps support healthy weight management, especially as you get older. So another reason to fuel yourself properly, rest well, drink enough, try and keep the stress levels down, and your hormones will thank you for that. Estrogen helps to regulate glucose as it draws energy into your cell, so it allows you to utilize energy. So this is why a lot of women do tend to gain weight in things like the menopause, because their estrogen lowers and the glucose can't get into the cell because there's not enough estrogen to pull it in. So again, obviously, there are certain medications that help increase estrogen like HRT, and so some women do go down that route, and there are other natural alternatives as well. And then you've got your thyroid hormones, so that's your T3 and T4. So again, I see a lot of women who struggle with thyroid issues who have been on very restrictive diets, or they've yo-yo dieted, and this can affect things like their metabolism. And your thyroid runs your metabolism. So, and your thyroid obviously likes, good sources of carbohydrates for the body. And things, that's really important to think about how you're looking after your thyroid. I mean, stress can affect our thyroid as well. So again, how are you regulating stress? Okay, so balances blood sugar by storing excess glucose. So this is what insulin does, okay? As I've explained here, chronic spikes lead to resistance. So again, another reason to avoid these sort of spikes in blood sugar. Yes, okay, fine, if you're enjoying the odd cake or, sweet or something, it's okay to do that, right, in moderation. But if you're doing it all the time and you're spiking your blood sugar, this is not necessarily, healthy for our bodies going forward. And to regulate that, including fibrous foods throughout the day, keeping your energy levels topped up, not letting yourself get too hungry. Okay, so just balancing the energy intake throughout the day. Also, if you're doing a lot of training or exercise, like I do a lot of training, so it's really important for me to make sure I'm eating enough throughout the day to help, fuel my body correctly and help fuel my training as well. So, and strength training for women is really important in the menopause as well, to help maintain muscle mass and your bone health, in prevention of things like osteoporosis, and it helps to increase things like testosterone levels as well. Okay, I know I've talked a lot about cortisol, the stress hormone. Obviously, I'm not trying to put a bad rep on cortisol. We all need cortisol in our life. It helps get us up in the morning and do stuff. So it's just when there becomes an imbalance of it, and it's just about understanding your body and how to regulate it. So it's released from the adrenal glands, which sits on top of your kidneys. During stressful periods, your body kind of goes into this like flight or fight mode, basically. So you've got your sympathetic mode, which is your kind of flight or fight state, and then your parasympathetic state, which is rest and digest. So, I've worked with a lot of people who spend a lot of their time in that fight or flight phase where they're in that constant high stress and kind of go, go, go. I was certainly one of those people. So, it's really important to kind of get your body out of that and get it into the parasympathetic state of rest and digest, where you feel calm, you feel relaxed. How often do we, relax nowadays, or let our bodies relax? So it's beneficial to allow your body to rest and reach a state of relaxation, because you'll just have more energy from doing that, as stress can make you very tired. Cortisol also helps to regulate metabolism and your immune response. It's essential for maintaining body functions during stress. Again, obviously, if your cortisol levels are very high, especially, for a long period of time, I'm talking about this can cause like health issues, like it can cause weight gain, hypertension, and impaired cognitive function as well. So again, another reason to just stop, rest, and think about things that you can incorporate into your lifestyle to help reduce stress. Okay, so we're going to look at estrogen and progesterone. So imbalances from blood sugar can affect things like, menstrual cycles. So it can worsen things like premenstrual syndrome, PCOS, so polycystic ovarian syndrome, and menopause symptoms. Okay, so some women do get PMS, which is like symptoms before they have their period. So some women get it 2 weeks before or a week before. And if you're not balancing your blood sugars enough the lead up towards your periods, it may worsen your symptoms. So it just means that you're just a bit more sensitive, basically, and that's okay. But if you're very sensitive to your blood sugar, it's really important to think about, are you prepared the week before your period? Are you eating enough fibrous foods? Are you balancing your blood sugar? Again, this is all just about being prepared in terms of your nutrition, especially when you're coming on your period. Like, right, what have you planned to eat? what feed is going to give you and keep you energized, basically. Yeah, and every woman is very different. So when they're getting fluctuations, like things like PMS, like their estrogen, progesterone may be fluctuating. I mean, you can do, if you're wanting to find out what's going on, or if anyone's experiencing things like PMS, you can get a blood test on the lead up towards your period, to kind of test what's going on with like your hormones and the levels. But again, another reason just to keep your blood sugar level stable, because that will really help with things like energy levels and focus. Again, so stable blood sugar levels help support your thyroid hormone. So your thyroid hormone conversion, so your T3 and T4. Obviously, stress can affect your, the conversion rate to help support the metabolism. Again, another reason just to try and eat regularly throughout the day and do things that help support your thyroid function. So eating a wide variety of foods. Iodine is really good. So like iodine rich foods are really supportive for your thyroid function, as they help with the conversion rate. What are you doing to help reduce your stress levels? Are you resting? Are you eating enough? So yeah, just asking yourself these questions is really important. Okay, so what are some symptoms of blood sugar imbalances? So sometimes you can get things like cravings, especially for things like carbohydrates and sweet foods as well. And you can get tiredness and fatigue, and you can get mood swings, poor sleep, and also belly fat. So that means that something's going wrong, whether it's you're not balancing your blood sugar, you're not eating enough. So important just to kind of play around with food, test what works for you. You will know from how you're feeling from what you're eating as well. So, and what are the benefits of blood sugar balance? So once you've started to figure out what works for you, you're going to have, your hormones are going to stabilize. You're going to have reduced cravings. You won't be hungry all the time. You're going to have better energy throughout the day. You're obviously going to sleep better as well. If you're training or you're going to the gym, you're going to, have better training. You're going to feel good. Also, you're going to have things like, clearer skin as well. So just some kind of things to think about, of how you're going to feel once you balance your blood sugar. Okay, so remember how you're going to balance these sugars. So remember to eat balanced meals throughout the day. As I said, making sure, your meals contain a protein, a carbohydrate, and a fat source. As I mentioned, carbohydrate sources, so low GI foods, things like brown rice, quinoa, brown bulgur wheat, like wholemeal bread. All those types of foods are really important. Or if you're vegan, vegetarian, like eating things like legumes are really good. I'm talking about chickpeas, lentils. Good quality source of protein, eggs, meat, fish. Try to avoid ultra processed foods if you can. Obviously, it's okay to have everything in moderation, right? But just try to eat a whole food diet as much as you can. And prioritizing sleep, again, managing stress, whether that's going for a walk in nature, implementing things like meditation into your life, whatever helps you to relieve stress and to get your body into that kind of rest and digest state is really important. Okay, so the power of protein. So protein keeps you full, keeps you fuller for longer. So are you eating enough protein in every meal? If you're training or you want to build muscle mass, you need to be eating a lot more protein to help you build that muscle mass. It slows glucose absorption. So are you just checking in with yourself and saying like, right, am I eating enough protein in every meal? So my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Again, I've talked a lot about fiber, and it slows down obviously sugar absorption. It supports gut health and hormonal health. So what fiber does is that it helps to feed the good bacteria within your gut. So you've got a balance of good and bad bacteria within your gut. Obviously, you want more good bacteria versus bad. So you want to feed the good bacteria. You don't want to starve it. So you feed the good bacteria with lots of variety in your diet, with fruits and vegetables. So I've talked a lot about, fibrous foods, brown rice and the quinoa and the brown bulgur wheat. So what about fruit and vegetables? So kiwis are really good. They're really high in fiber. So incorporating lots of fruits and vegetables into your diet as well. Variety is key. So try not to eat the same thing every day if you can. So just thinking about, instead of, we're in a world where we're saying, oh, what can you cut out your diet, or the next diet or the next fad diet? What can you add into your diet that's going to help improve things like your gut health as well? So, and just thinking about that, because a lot of things like, these diets that a lot of people go on, or restricted diets, when you start to go on a diet or restrict your food intake, it can impact your gut bacteria and the diversity in your gut. So again, another reason to try and eat as much variety as you can and do what works for you. Healthy fats for hormones. So healthy fats stabilize your blood sugar levels. So I've talked about those. So I'm talking about, olive oil, getting a good cold pressed olive oil extraction. That's really important. So it's not been hydrogenated. And avocados. Obviously having things like, a good quality sort of goat cheese or a feta cheese is fine. Again, it's that kind of everything in moderation. So nuts and seeds. And they also support your hormone production. So you need healthy fats. You need enough fat in your diet to help support healthy hormones. Also, are you getting enough things like oily fish as well? So recommendation is at least, twice a week, oily fish. So omega-3 is really important for our brain health. And also things like vitamin D, that's really important for women in the menopause as well. So carbohydrates, again, choosing quality over quantity. So choose complex over simple. The complex carbs are the ones I spoke about, all the brown carbohydrates. And have that with a protein, because that's going to keep you fuller for longer. So have your chicken or your tuna with brown rice, make a salad with it, add a bit of olive oil on it, and just, that's a really easy like lunch that you can have, right? So, and it doesn't take a lot of time to prep that. So I think a lot of people get overwhelmed by nutrition, but I like to keep it quite simple, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Again, eating regularly, so every 3 to 4 hours, again, supporting that blood sugar balance. Try not to skip meals or go too long without eating, because again, that if you go too long without eating, you get a dip in your blood sugar levels, basically, as explained before, and then you end up overeating possibly, and then feeling bloated after that, and possibly making poor choices around food. So another reason to try and be as prepped as you can around nutrition. Okay, so what's your, everyone has a morning routine. I think I kind of had a morning routine. And I do have a morning routine. And it starts off, with a good breakfast. That is certainly me. I like to have overnight oats because that's that slow release energy. It's got a lot of protein in it. I have Greek yogurt with it, put a bit of chia seed in there. Again, I'm getting my healthy fats, I'm getting my protein, and I've got my carbohydrates from the oats as well. Again, so try to avoid things like sugary cereals, because they're not going to keep you fuller for longer, and they may end up, spiking your blood sugar levels, and you just won't feel good. And you might end up being hungry 1 or 2 hours later, whereas you want to keep satiated throughout the day and not feel like you're constantly having to eat. And that's just taking, a look at what you're eating and looking at your food and what's going on with your body. Okay, so blood sugar and sleep. So poor sleep worsens with glucose control. So if you're not balancing your blood sugar levels, you might not be sleeping very well. Balanced meals can obviously help improve your sleep. So like tryptophan-rich foods, so eating enough protein. So tryptophan can help you sleep. And then remember, carbohydrates help to produce things like serotonin, which is your happy hormone. So that's really important for like mood regulation, and it helps with Movement of food for your gut. So obviously fiber helps you to have a healthy bowel movement. So just some kind of things to think about with that. Again, looking at movement for balance. So going for a walk to help with digestion. That if you have poor digestion, that can also help after meals. And as I've explained, strength training. So I'm a big fan of strength training. I do a lot of strength training myself. It's the evidence says that you need to do at least 2 lots of 45-minute sessions a week, which is doable, I feel, for the average person to help improve bone density, especially when you're going through the menopause. As it helps with, in the reduction of and prevention of things like osteoporosis. So strength training is your friend. Try to incorporate that at least twice a week if you can. And it's also going to help build muscle mass and your metabolism as well. Okay, so stress and sugar cravings. So stress can actually cause blood sugar spikes. I've mentioned this before. So if you're stressed, it can also increase your glucose to go up, and it may lead you to want to look for food, basically. Or some people can get stressed and their appetite can be suppressed, so your body can go either way. So again, just checking in with yourself, like if this is something going on for you right now, just asking yourself, am I stressed? What's going on? Like, am I hungry? Do I need that? Is my blood sugar low? And it's again, just checking yourself, as high cortisol sort of levels can lead to things like cravings. Okay, so looking at hydration, obviously water supports glucose transport. So we're made of 60% water. It helps to, helps with vitamin and mineral distribution around the body. So it helps transport all your minerals and vitamins around. So again, are you drinking your 2 litres a day? I know it's hard in the winter. I tend to have a bottle like by my desk that I know I need to work through. So again, really important to think about that. And most people that I do work with, they're just not drinking enough. And in the winter, if you struggle with drinking enough, you can always use things like herbal teas to make sure you're getting in enough fluid. Okay, so what are some supplements to consider to support your blood sugar balance? So magnesium is really good, but yeah, there's lots of different types of magnesium. So you've got magnesium glycinate, which is really important for things like sleep. You've got magnesium citrate, which is really important for energy levels or for people who are struggling with things like constipation. So that's really important. So choose the right sort of magnesium for what you want to use it for. Chromium is really good actually for balancing blood sugar levels. But again, I'm a fan of, if you're looking at your food and kind of seeing what you're eating, is that doing the trick of balancing your blood sugar levels. And cinnamon is really good as well. I like to put a bit of cinnamon in my porridge in the morning. That's shown evidence to help with blood sugar balance as well. Okay, so holistic lifestyle for your hormones. So obviously, if we've all got time to go to the gym and have less stress with our busy lives, I know it's sometimes hard, but making sure that you're, putting in time for yourself, you've got time to move, time to rest. Blood sugar is just the one piece. How are you feeling? What's going on for you emotionally? Are you looking after yourself? Are you nourishing your body? Are you getting enough sleep? Just kind of looking at that holistic overview of your body is really important. So what's your next step? Again, so if you're not sure where to start, I think it's really important to start with your blood sugar. How are you feeling? How's your food making you feel? Are you eating balanced meals throughout the day? Looking at how you're going to get a better night's sleep. Again, tracking how you feel, maybe keeping a food diary is really, I tend to keep a food diary with the clients that I work with, which some of them works well for, especially for women who are going through the menopause, just to kind of see what's going on and if they're getting their blood sugar correct, if they're balancing it right. Again, working with a nutritionist can obviously to help support you if you feel like you're having issues around your hormones and your energy levels. Obviously, if you have issues with the hormones or the menopause, making sure that you're seeing your GP or gynecologist. A gynecologist is more specialized in hormones as well, and make sure they're giving you options, for HRT. If you wanted to go to HRT, there are bioidentical versions of HRT and synthetic versions. So bioidentical hormones are basically hormones that mimic your own natural production. So it's more gentler on the body. But yeah, they should, GPs and gynecologists should be giving you options for this and kind of speaking to you about this. But I hope that you found that useful in terms of everything about blood sugar here today. Do we have any questions at all? I'll just go back to that slide. Of what I said. I know I've said a lot of information today. I'll just stop the share to kind of see if we have any questions.
Okay, thanks, Jenny, for that. Perhaps while people are thinking of questions, yes, Louise is saying no questions, but thank you. That was a really helpful and that was really helpful and informative. So, yeah, thank you for that comment, Louise. Jenny, what if there's one kind of takeaway or one point you'd like people to consider the most today, what would that be?
Yeah, I would always say I think everyone's different when it comes to their hormones. You've got to work out what's best for you wherever you're at, kind of what's going on for you, and making sure you're getting, the right information that's tailored towards you from a holistic point of view. Sometimes, GP nutritional advice, in my opinion, hasn't always been the best. So making sure that if you're not getting that from the doctor, going to see a nutritionist or getting referral to a gynecologist if something else is going on. And I know sometimes the waiting list can be long. I do know of very good hormone experts if you want any information on that. But yeah, I'd always say just, you're unique to you and kind of look after yourself. And if something's up and you're not feeling right, it's you're not the only person that has been through that. It's normal, and just try and seek help and know that you deserve help as well. So because sometimes the menopause is a really tough time for women, and it's a struggle, so it's important that you get the right treatment for you. So
Okay, thanks for that. I don't see any further questions. So one thing I would like to say is that there's going to be another presentation on the 13th of November by the two facilitators that did the recent one about menopause and various issues around that. That will be repeated live again on the 13th of November. So there will be an email going out about that from us. This is being recorded as we speak, and this will go onto our YouTube channel. It should be there in about 2 weeks' time. And we're doing various other things. So you may see Jenny again. We'll see. But she's also provided some resources for people as well that are on the Future Communities website. So future-communities.net. And there's a range of other facilities and tools on that site that you can access for free as part of this program, which is funded by the National Lottery Community Fund. So there's more to come before the end of the year on this program. So I'd like to thank you for all joining us today. Is there anything else you want to say, Jenny? Was there a little bit more on the presentation?
No, I think that's it really.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank you for doing this today, and no doubt there'll be more opportunities in the future. But thank you, everybody, for joining us today, and I hope you join us on November the 13th for the next presentation. Thank you very much.